Ukraine is bleeding, the money has run dry, and the bombs are still falling. 26 people have died and over 100 injured in the latest Russian attack, with 22 people still missing. Now Washington is pushing a desperate deal, Russian cash in exchange for Ukrainian land. Our next story has all the details.
Ukraine woke up to fire, blood, and the smell of burning concrete. A massive Russian missile and drone barrage smashed into western cities. Streets turned into rubble fields. Survivors crawled out from shattered buildings, dazed, bleeding.
There were about 2 Shahed drones I saw. Everything here was on fire, only recently extinguished. And here, from the blast wave, everything in the apartment is damaged, all the glass shattered. A lot of damage has been done.
Over the years, you start to get used to it, but when it affects you personally, you completely rethink it and look at it differently. And you understand that this is not how it should be in life. That innocent people, what kind of strategic object is this?
And while Ukraine counts its dead, a secret plan is being pushed from Washington's back rooms to Kiev's war rooms. A 28-point blueprint, quietly drafted plan, proposes something unacceptable to Kiev. Putin keeps Donbass, Ukraine gets a cash rental fee, and the war ends with a check, not justice. The US proposal, leaked through diplomatic channels, goes even further. Kyiv would be asked to cut its army in half, surrender major defense positions, and accept a Gaza-style demilitarized zone monitored by foreign troops. Essentially, Ukraine shrinks, Russia stays, something Putin always wanted. Europe, on the other hand, continues to stay relevant and urges that its voice should also be heard.
What we as Europeans have always supported is a long-lasting and just peace, and we welcome any efforts to achieve that. Of course, for any plan to work, it needs Ukrainians and Europeans on board. So this is very clear.
Today, Russia's army occupies around a fifth of the country, much of it ravaged by years of fighting. In 2022, the Kremlin annexed 4 Ukrainian regions, Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhzhia and Kherson, despite not having full control over them. Russia also annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine in 2014, ceding territory in the Donetsk and Lugansk regions that Ukraine still controls could leave Ukraine vulnerable to future attack by Russia.
Joining us live on the broadcast is Scott Lucas, Professor of International Politics, Clinton Institute, University College Dublin. Professor, welcome back to WION, and thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of this somewhat unofficial backroom deal that Russia and the United States seem to be making?
Well, I think you've hit that key word, unofficial. Let's be clear, first of all, that there is no way that Ukraine and its European partners will accept this 28-point proposal. They will not accept Ukraine having to give up land that it currently holds, most notably about 22% of the Donetsk region, given that that area is vital for the defense of the rest of Ukraine, including Kyiv. They will not accept the limitations on Ukraine's military, and they will not accept a deal which does not provide for clear security guarantees for Kyiv against a future Russian invasion. Now, that being said, why do I say unofficial? This is not necessarily a proposal backed by all of the Trump administration. What happened is that Donald Trump's envoy, the real estate developer Steve Witkoff, was in meetings at the end of October with Vladimir Putin's senior economic advisor, Kirill Dmitriev. Now, they may have discussed what became this proposal. Indeed, one outlet, the Wall Street Journal, says that Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, joined the discussions. But this 28-point proposal was leaked to the media by the Russians, almost in a way of saying, look, the Americans are agreeing to this. Others in the American administration have backed away from this proposal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio gave a very carefully worded statement last night, which said that any resolution of Russia's invasion must be based on an exchange of views with both sides making compromises, not just one side accepting an ultimatum. So I think what we may see over the next 24 to 48 hours, especially with Ukraine and Europe pushing back so hard, is the Trump administration stepping back officially from this proposal. But the question is, how far is it going unofficially to accept and indeed back up the Kremlin's ultimatum against Kyiv?
Right. It did really appear that the media was getting ahead of all of this with those leaks. And it was so interesting that you mentioned Russia made these leaks. And now the United States seems to be in a peculiar situation. What would be the best role for the U.S. at this point? Because many believe that ultimately Ukraine needs an off-ramp and victory has to look like something for Russia.
The Trump administration needs to get its act together and speak with a single voice. For example, last month, Donald Trump, albeit after a heated meeting with Vladimir Zelensky, came down and said that any resolution must be based on the current front lines. That is, the 19% of Ukraine that Russia occupies, mainly in the east and in the south, as well as Crimea. Now, Kyiv and its European partners will probably accept that freeze of the front lines. They will not recognize this as Russian territory, but they will accept a ceasefire based on this. The problem here is that Witkoff and possibly Kushner have undermined that position by even engaging in these talks with the Russians. And there is a further complication. Keith Kellogg, who is the American envoy to Ukraine, who has been very firm in saying, look, we cannot just sell out Ukraine, is not in the American delegation in Kyiv today. He was excluded. It's led by Army Secretary Dan Driscoll instead. And indeed, the White House has said Kellogg is gone as of January, that he will be resigning. So who will be the voice inside the administration pushing back against Witkoff and possibly Kushner?
Wow, very fascinating stuff. Professor Lucas, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for joining us on WION.
Thank you, and thank all your viewers.